Welcome back to another book review with Clueless William. Today I'm going to review the book James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. I chose this book because it's one of my most favorite Roald Dahl books. In this book, my most favorite character is the silkworm because he saved everybody on the peach from the sharks and he does nothing bad to anybody, like the bugs or humans. In this story, James lives with his rotten aunt Sponge and Spiker. He then gets a bag full of little green things that hop around, and they travel somewhere, so James loses them. After that, he goes out and finds an enormous peach. His aunts use the peach by showing it off and get money by it. When the first day of shoving off the peach, James takes a bite and figures out there's a door that actually is a portal and leads somewhere. He goes through the door and finds the green old grasshopper, the centipede, Miss Spider, ladybird, earthworm, glowworm, and silkworm. James goes on an adventure with his bug friends to visit New York. On the way, he escapes from terrifying sharks and mythical cloud men. In the end, he then lives happily and peacefully at New York and gets his own kind friends. One weird and interesting thing in the book is when the tiny green things made the peach enormous, because how could they activate the peach to become larger? Another interesting thing is the main character, James, uses his imagination a lot. I'm really connected to this because it is the same thing we are mostly doing now. And most people are bored in quarantine, so most people try to have fun by using their imagination. This book has some very memorable scenes. For example, when the peach starts to grow, it's a really impossible moment. I mean, peaches come from trees, but this one just blows up like a balloon. The aunts immediately think of how to use this to make money, but James recognizes that there is something amazingly happening and begins to look closer. Finding the door in the peach seems almost obvious at this point, even though it is very magical. This is a good example of what I like about Roald Dahl's writing. He presents us with a situation that is magical, but it feels obvious to a kid and completely different from how a grown-up would see it. Another example of this kind of magical idea is in the scene where the sharks attack. The sharks want to eat the characters, but they end up eating the peach. However, when they lure the seagulls by using the worm, instead of eating the peach, the seagulls instead carry it. This difference is super weird. A seagull would eat a peach. A shark wouldn't. Yet in the story, sharks eat it and seagulls won't. Switching up what you expect makes this part of the story more memorable and fun. But I want to tell you something about the ending. When the book ends, James is living in the peach pit with the bugs in New York. I really like this ending because in the end, James finally has a home and family of his own. Sponge and Spiker don't really care about him, and traveling in the peach is kind of like he is growing up and moving to a new life. That said, I kind of wish they lived in a tree that grew from the peach rather than just a hallowed old peach pit. I don't really know why Roald Dahl had this ending for the peach itself. James has a journey, grows, and finds a new home, but the peach is dead at the end. I kind of wish the peach got to be a tree. I think this book is one of the best Roald Dahl books because it was an exciting, fun, and adventurous story. The only things that I thought were bad was that James kills his aunt with the peach, which I thought was weird. Yes, Aunt Spiker and Sponge was being mean to James, but you shouldn't kill your own family members just because they didn't let you play. That's just brutal. I also watched the animated movie a few months ago, and I thought it was exciting just like the book. There were basically no differences from the book and the movie, except the shark is a robot and Sponge and Spiker survive from the attack of the peach. Reading the James and the Giant Peach, I often felt like this is not a kid's book, because James kills his aunt. The aunts hurt James' feelings, and the bugs were mean to each other, so mostly everyone was the mean, and some were even selfish. I thought this book was also surprising because there were a lot of worms in this book. Just on the peach, there were 3 kinds of worms, but only one of those would eat a peach. There are lots of bugs, but Roald Dahl uses lots of worms. Maybe this has to do with the themes of growth and change. But even then, it is pretty random, because only some bugs fit the theme. I think James and the Giant Peach is a fun book, just like Roald Dahl's other books, such as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Witches, Matilda, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and more. This is Clueless William, and I hope you liked this video. Like and subscribe. Bye!